Okay, let us begin with the continuation of JavaFX programming. Today I'll be discussing about the different classes called image, ImageView, okay, and on that some few examples I'll be showing how I can make a button, an image as a button, okay, something like that, or how you can make a toggle button, an image as a toggle button. On click it will display something, on click again clicking it will display something. Okay, so something like that we will go ahead today. Let me share the PPT first. I'll go through the crucial points in image and image wave, then I will go through the programs. Okay, let me go ahead with this. Just 1 minute. Okay, before I go ahead with the programs, I also have to talk about event handling in JavaFX. Okay, so let me go ahead with image class. So you can see that there are two classes in JavaFX. One is called image class, another is called image view class. How these two are different? Uh, Image class is only to load the image that you want to use in the program. I will repeat. Image class is uh, used only to load the image from the source. The source can be a file, the source can be a URL, the source can be from any of the input stream class. Okay, so once you have loaded that image or once you have got that image into your program, where to print it or when to use it, that is done by ImageView. So both of these are used together. Okay, so in image class there are four parameters in the constructor. All are optional, obviously. So one very important thing that you have to note about is the error. Error, it will talk about whether the image that I'm searching for is loaded or not. It is loaded or not. If not loaded properly, it will throw an exception, that is false. It will give me a false value. So whenever false is there, it will throw an exception. There is a problem in loading an image. Okay. Now, so what is the source of the image? Either that image is already in the folder into which your program is there. So simply you give the name of the image, it will be loaded. Or you can give a whole of the path, file path from where it has to be extracted, or you can extract it from the URL, or it is available as part of any of the file from where you have to extract. Okay. So in any of the cases, this image class helps me to load that particular image, search and load the image. If image is not available, it will throw an exception or it will give an error. So this image can be attached with any label or any node. This we will see in the examples coming ahead. Okay. Then I have something called image view class. Okay. Just have a look at the things that I have written at the bottom. Then we will come to this part. Once you have an image through a file or input stream or URL, image view displays the image. Okay. So what is that? How I have to go ahead? I have to do like this. I will call an image constructor with the object image space the object equal to image in bracket the source. Okay. Once you have written, that object contains the accessibility to that image. That object contains accessibility to that image. Now what the image view does is, image view tells you supply me the object of the image. I will attach this image to whichever component you want. Okay. So, or there is no component available. You just want to display it on the scene. Then also image view tells you give me the object of the image. I will display that when and where, at what point you want, I will display it. So both will act together. Image and image view both will act together. Image tells I will load the image. I will load the image, but it will not display. Image view using the image object will display it on the scene or the screen. I hope this is clear for you. Now, this uh, image view constructor has many options. Okay, you can talk about what is the height, what is the width, okay, into which you want to display. Then from which point of x comma y, okay, x comma y on the whole of the screen, at what point you can start. Okay, all those things are being associated with ImageView. Image has an association of height and width of the loading image. Okay, there is some source file having its own height and width. When displaying, I can decide upon what is the height and width. Okay, this is how this height and width and the fit height and fit width are different. The resizing is given in the height and width of ImageView. The height and width of image class, it talks about what is the height and width with which I will load the image. Okay, so this is the basic property of an image. This is the loading property of an image. Sorry, this is the displaying property of an image. And x and y coordinators are required if you don't give by default. If you are using a flow pane, if you are using a flow pane, um, see, flow pane always talks about fill the things from left to right. Okay, so left to right it has reached. Now where the cursor is, there it starts displaying. If you are using border pane, into what border you want to display, you have to attach that. This is how ImageView helps me to display the content, display the image at a proper position. Okay, so the role of ImageView is to place the inputted loaded image into a proper visible region. I hope this is clear for you. I hope this is clear. Any doubt here?
Yes.
It's clear, right? Okay. Now, um, I will just go back to the event handling. Okay.
Ma'am,
Now, yeah, who is speaking?
ma'am, if
Huh.
Ramya, ma'am,
Yeah, tell me.
ma'am, if the image is not there in the folder, ma'am, we have to include its path only or the link also, ma'am.
You can have the link also. URLs means the link also.
Yes, ma'am, but
Suppose,
to
suppose,
include that URL, we should include path or
हाँ,
what, ma'am?
नहीं, see, the file path is different, URL is different. Okay.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
suppose you are downloading the image from the internet, even that URL also holds good.
Yes,
Holds
ma'am.
good. Okay. So the whole URL can be supplied as a parameter, or you have downloaded it, you are placed in some folder. That path you
Yes,
can
ma'am.
give. Even that path you can give.
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
you have an image in your own folder where you are creating your JavaFX contents. Okay. Then you are giving a relative path. A relative path.
Mm,
Otherwise, you can give absolute path. The path is
yes, ma'am.
different, URL is different.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I hope it is
Thank you, ma'am.
clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah, who is speaking?
Anant here, ma'am.
Yeah, Anant, go ahead.
Ma'am, is there any way we can check if the file exists so that
Of
so that the
course,
exception is not raised at all? So
of
basically,
course,
we'll have a dummy file.
Of course, you have many ways, correct? See, you have a file stream, okay? When you are loading, even an image is a file. Even image can be taken as a file, okay? So that image, when you are loading into the image class, before that only, you can call the file input stream or file output stream and throw an exception there, then and there only. Handle the exception then and there only. Then there is no burden on image class or image view class. Yes, Anand?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, yeah. So now, um, guys, please remind me about explanation of file streams when I go ahead with my further classes. Okay, that is not covered in your basic Java, I hope so. So I'll be covering that file handling, and then I'll be moving ahead. See, this kind of hodgepodge, I'm just fed up. Okay, anyways, let us continue. Then we have something called as event handling. Okay, in some 3 to 4 classes before, I was talking about listeners. Okay, when I was talking about AWT, I was talking about what is called as a listener. So whenever you click on something, for instance, let us take a button only. When I click on a button, that button must trigger some action. That action is called as, that action triggering or that action handling is called as event handling. It is termed as event handling because anything that I press that triggers an interrupt, that triggers an event. that event has to be managed in a proper way, in such a way that it should not interrupt, it should not show that I'm interrupting something, but it has to do its work. Okay, that's why that kind of management of the event is called as event handling. So on click of something, on event triggering, it has to perform something. That is called as event handling. So how this event handling is done? Event handling in JavaFX is done using a class called as action event. It is the I just a minute. Okay. Huh. I have a class called action event. This action event is a subclass of event class. It's a subclass of event class. So whenever you want to handle the events in JavaFX, you have to write import javafx.event.star. Okay. Just before this class, Varshini asked me this doubt. There are so many import statements, how we can remember them? Okay. What you can do for simplicity, you can write import javafx.scene.star, import javafx.stage.star, import javafx.event.star. See, in one line of importing, you are importing everything. If you write star, if you are getting confused with writing those things separately, control dot star. If you write control dot star, all control statements will come. All controlling UI controls are included. All the nodes are included. Okay. So in order to avoid that separate writing, number of import statements will be less, obviously. Okay. Don't worry about that. What is important for me is how do you analyze that program and what object you are using, what node you are using, or what component you are using. That is more important. Now, whenever you want to handle any event that is triggered by click of a button, that event can be handled by a class which is called as action event, which is a subclass of event. Okay, this action event, it handles actions generated by the buttons. Explicitly, it is handling those button related events. What about other events? Those we will see later. Now, uh, whenever some action is performed, sorry, whenever some event is performed, that event is associated with its own handler. Okay, something called as exception handler we have. Similar to that, we have something called as event handler. It is always attached with the event that is getting triggered. That kind of event handler, in simpler terms, we call them as listeners. We call them as listeners. So this event handler, whatever I'm speaking about, it is actually an interface, which is a generic interface available in javafx.event. Okay. Now, when you are speaking about the event handling in JavaFX, you are supposed to import this javafx.event.star. When you import this, it will come up with the event handler. It will come up with action event. Both are included. Okay. What is this generic interface? I have underlined that. That comes in third unit of JavaFX. Sorry, third unit of advanced Java. In detail, we will be going ahead with that generics. I think I have talked about it 100 times before this. Generics we will take up later, not now. Okay. Now, any event that is triggered has an event handler associated, and that event handler is available as a generic interface. Okay. That generic interface can be overwritten. Okay. Now, how that generic interface is available? It is available like this. Interface, the name of the interface is event handler. This is the way in which I represent the generics. It is between a pair of opening and closing angular brackets. And this T is any data type. Here, especially this T indicates the type of the event. It can be any event that is triggered. It can be a mouse event, it can be a button event, any event that is available, that data type you are supplying. Extends event, because all those events are available as part of event class. This is base class of all the events. So action event is especially used for buttons. So what you are supposed to write here, this T will be any event that you are managing extends action event. Okay, over here I'm writing action event because I'm dealing with buttons. So when I take up soon after 5 minutes, I'll be taking up the first example on this. Then you will match these things. So T specifies the type of event, okay, for which you are calling the handler. Now, this particular interface, whatever I'm taking, that is event handler, that just 1 minute. I have to unlock the meeting. People are waiting. Okay, let us come back. Now, the kind of event handler that the interface that I'm using, event handler, that has one method which is called as handle. Okay, there is one explicit method which is called as handle. This can be overridden in the way I want, and it takes an object which is called as event object of the type with which I'm calling the event handler. Okay, so the T can be, T is same as the one which I have given here. This and this must match. So this interface, I will just glance through the things. There is one class called event class. That event class has action event for button events. This action event, along with that, there is something called as event handler. That event handler is an interface available as part of event. Okay, so action event and this event handler together will help me to handle the event that is triggered. How? By using a function which is available that is called as handle. Okay, this handle accepts always one parameter. That parameter is what is the object for the event that is triggered. The type of the event that is triggered, for that there has to be an object. That object is taken by the handle function. So all these things act together to handle the generated event. That is called as event handling. So in general, when I talk about, there is action event, there is an event handler. Event handler has a handle function which takes in the parameter, the object of the event that is triggered, and it does the management of the event that is triggered. Okay, and how these are implemented then? These events, whenever they are triggered, there is set on action. You will see soon. Okay, so these are always, normally they are implemented as anonymous classes. We have talked about it in thread anonymous class. Okay, so we will take up something called as anonymous classes whenever we handle something called as any event that is triggered. If you don't want anonymous classes, you can write them as separate classes, create object of them. Okay, it is as simple as that. But normally, whenever we are handling an event, we will write them as anonymous classes. Okay, we will write them as anonymous classes. Now, sometimes we require one special function called as getSource. What is this getSource speaking? This getSource talks about, okay, in between of the event handling, I just want to know who has triggered this event. Who has triggered this event? That is obtained by what is called as getSource. The source of the event that is obtained by getSource. So the things that you have to remember over here, you have an action event, you have a handle, function handle, which takes in the parameter object of the event that comes under the interface event handler. Then there is anonymous class writing for the implementation of the handler. Then there is something called as getSource, which has triggered that particular event that is given by the getSource. Okay, it obviously returns me the object for the object which has triggered that particular event. I hope this kind of introduction is enough for you. So what all things we have covered? We have covered image view. We have covered event handling. Okay. Based on these things, we will be taking some examples. Okay. Please pardon me, Ramya. Again, I am asking you, sorry for this, but the two classes will go on like this only. Once I get those 3 days of time during your IA time, I will definitely get rid of all these problems that are available in my laptop. Okay, I will utilize that time to make sure that all my JavaFX everything is working fine. Okay, so now
Yes,
we
ma'am.
have a simple JavaFX program which talks about event and button. Okay, here the first things remain the same, no change at all. Okay, what is that? I have written main first here and which has called the launch function. This launch function would call start method. So start method, when I begin in the class, start method, this talks about setting the stage. Once the stage is available, over here stage is available. Okay, stage is available. That using that stage, I'm setting the title. This is optional, again optional. If you want you can set, if you don't want you may not set. And after I completed my Thursday's class, um, Varshini had told me to show some examples on flow pane. Okay, on flow pane. So I am using flow pane over here instead of grid pane. Instead of grid pane, I am using flow pane. Just have a look at this. Okay, I have used a flow pane. How to create a flow pane? Use a flow pane, space the name of the object. Okay, and give vertical and horizontal gap. If you don't give any vertical, suppose if I remove this, by default, vertical and horizontal gaps will be 0 and 0. Okay, so I just want to have a spacing between each component. That's why I have used 10 comma 10. Okay, now what I have done, I have created a stage over here. Where I have created a stage? I have created a stage as part of the start method. Using that stage, I have set the title of for the whole window. Now I have assured that I'll be using in the stage the flow pane. Okay, for that I have given h gap and v gap, and accordingly I have created an object of flow pane. Now see, this is again optional. If you want to center, you can give this. If you don't give this, by default it will be on the left hand side, because flow pane always begins from left corner. Okay, this is optional again. Now create a scene. Okay, by using the object of flow pane. By using the object of flow pane. So you are passing the flow pane. This is the width and the height. Width and the height. Okay. Now set the scene with the stage. Set the scene with the stage. Then I'm going ahead with the creation of the things. See, till Thursday's class, whatever I had done, I had created components first. Those components have been added to the scene. That scene has been added to the stage at the later stages. But now what I have done the vice versa. What is that? I've created the stage and I've created the scene, associated that scene to the stage. So whatever I fill in the scene, that will be reflected in the stage. Purposely, this example and the examples which I have shown in the previous class, both are doing the same. But it is as good as in C program we do know. We will write function definition first, then write the main, or main first, then the function definition. Both are doing one and the same. Okay, so we are making sure that empty scene getting attached to the stage over here, and as and when I write something into the scene, that scene gets filled and accordingly that is reflected in the stage. Okay, but show function for the stage has to be the last part. If you show it right now, it will show the empty stage. Yes or no? Please comment. All of you please comment. See, if I write my stage dot show here, imagine I have written my stage dot show. What is the kind of output that you will be seeing? It will show an empty stage because scene is not filled with anything. So this show option only I have kept it at the end. I hope I'm clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Now what I'm doing, I'm just interested in creating something. See, in your exam also, you will be given something like this. You have to implement this thing. Just have a look at this. Okay. I'll give something like this. You have to implement this thing. My question will be as simple as this. Write a JavaFX program to create the following UI. Okay. How you are creating, what you are creating, you just have a scene. See this part, whatever is visible over here, demonstrate JavaFX buttons. This indicates what? The title of the window. So set title will come into picture here. Then this part shows that, I'm so sorry for it. Okay. So this part shows that alpha, beta was pressed. This part shows that the contents are displayed one after the other sidewards. They are displayed one after the other sidewards. It means what? Sidewards, when I am talking about left to right, it is nothing but flow pane. Okay. If I have left to right displayed without any new line, it means it is flow pane. If I have a proper demarcation, then it is a grid pane. Okay, this is how you have to analyze it. Then, along with that flow pane, just have a look at this. If alpha was at the top left corner, then there was no alignment at all. Okay, there was no alignment at all. But since all these three are appearing at the center of the stage, the alignment is at the center. Okay, pose dot center that I have written. You can just see here. I'll just go back. Okay, set alignment of pose dot center. Which you are aligning? The scene. Which are, sorry, the flow pane. Which you are aligning? The flow pane. Because the flow pane contains the components. Again, flow pane is available where? It is available as part of the scene. So obviously the scene contains the flow pane. Flow pane has to be aligned. If there is a grid pane has to be aligned. Okay, I hope I'm clear with this. This is how you have to analyze what I have to write. I'll just go back to this. Just have a look at this. Since all these are available, alpha, beta and beta was pressed, all these are available as part at the center of the screen. I have to align this pane into the center. How I have to align? Using the panes object, I will call set alignment. Okay, and pose dot center, pose dot left, if I write, it will be aligned left. Pose dot top, if I write, topmost. Pose dot bottom, it will be aligned at the bottom. Pose dot right, it will be aligned from the right hand side. Okay, so this is how you have to analyze. Next, what is available in the diagram? Just have a look at this. Next, what is available? There are two buttons. So next, our task is two buttons you have to create. Okay, you have to create two buttons. So this part I will take it later. Right now I will not bother about it. Okay, now I will create two buttons. How? Button space object name equal to new button of what is the label with which you want to have that button, double quotes. Okay, so on the button what is displayed, no, that you have to give here. Similarly, the second button you are creating, alpha and beta are the two things that are given. I have created that. Then afterwards there is a text. Okay, what is that text? On response, on clicking beta, it has to display beta was pressed. On clicking alpha, it has to display alpha was pressed. Otherwise, it has to display push a button. See, this is optional. This is optional. You need not talk about push a button. What you can do is label response, new label. You can create that label and keep it. That label will be associated with that text that is available. So you can very well do it like this. You can very well do it like this. Something like this. On click of the button, the response will be updated. Okay, so otherwise what I have done, for by default, if nothing was pressed, it has to display me push a button. Okay, now once these are created, what are these? These are only the components. Now on click of a button, what has to be done? See, this is the crucial part. I will just bold this line. I will just bold this line and increment the font. Now just have a look at this. On what button you want to have an action? That button name you are passing. So how? That is created by the object button alpha. That btn alpha, with reference to that object, I will call the function set on action. Please remember this. This is the function which talks about how to handle that event. Okay, this set on action calls an object of event handler on the type of the event that is triggered. Please remember, I had written in opening and closing angular brackets capital T. That is what is written here. So any type of action event it is. The meaning of that action event, it talks about any button event. Okay, any button event. So that data typed object has to be supplied over here. Just have a look at this. The same data typed object has to be supplied over here. The kind of data type that you have given, the same data type has to be supplied over here. Okay, now this object is passed for the function handle. This object is passed for the function handle. So how you are managing this? The button dot set on action in bracket new event handler, because you are triggering the event handler interface. Okay, on this type of event, and you are writing an anonymous class as we had written in thread class. You are writing an anonymous class which contains the function handle. Every event handler will have matching handle function. That handle function will take in the parameter as an object of the type of the event that you have given. It should, this and this should match. This is very important. Now, once you have called that handle function, what you are doing after handling this event, you are simply displaying this text. What is that? Alpha was pressed. And where? Since you are talking about flow pane, after both the buttons are over, that is added automatically. You need not specify where you have to display. But if you are using a grid pane, you are specifying the column number. You are specifying the column number. In case of flow pane, this is the beauty of flow pane. You don't have to specify where I have to keep this, because soon after the two buttons, the text will follow. Now, this alpha was pressed or beta was pressed was written, need to be associated with what? Response. What is this response? It is acting as a label. It's acting as a label. Suppose I have expected from you something like this. There is a button. Beside that, there is a text field. And inside that text field, you have to write button is pressed. I'm asking you a question. Okay. There is a button. Beside that button, there is a text field. Inside that text field, you have to print button is pressed. Then how you are supposed to do? In the handle, instead of response, this response is of type label. Okay. But then the response will be of type text field. Text field response equal to new text field. Okay, then text response will be of category text field. Then I will write response dot set text of button is pressed. So in the text field, the text will be printed. This is how you are attaching the things to the components, like label, text field, text, anything it can be. Okay, so now when I write response.setText, alpha was pressed. So whenever you press on the alpha button, this part gets overwritten with alpha was pressed. Whenever I press beta, it will be updated with beta was pressed. So obviously, I have to have one more action. Okay, that is called as beta button dot set on action. Again, the same thing you are overwriting, except for the change beta was pressed. Nothing else you are changing, because the kind of action involved is one and the same. Okay. Now, since all these things are available, what all things you have? Alpha button, beta button, there is a response. Alpha button, beta button, there is a response. And for the response, you have set on action. You have set on action. Now, these three things have to appear in that manner only. How? Alpha button, beta button, then the response. So in that manner only you are adding those. And these all are called as children of the scene. They are called as children of the scene. So I have a special function. In my previous class, I did discuss about get children function. There is some function called as get children, which talk about getting all the children and adding them all in the scene. Adding them all in the scene. Simple add function will add one component at a time. Add all will add all the components at a time. Okay, how I can do that? Just we will go to this. Just have a look at this. What is this root node? Root node is a scene. Okay, root node is a scene. Dot get children. All these components that I have created, all of them are the children of the scene. Dot add all. And in what manner they have to appear? They have to appear like this. First the alpha button, then the beta button, then the response button. Okay, so this is where my geometry will come into picture. Okay, let me go up. This is where my geometry will come into picture. JavaFx.geometry.star. Okay, here I will talk about the flow pane must display in this manner only. Okay, this is where I'm giving the order in which the children have to appear. So the order in which it has to appear is button alpha, comma button beta, comma the response. And response will take the text based on the kind of button pressed. Once I have done with all these things, I will talk about showing the stage. Because to the stage already the scene is added. And the scene now is added with all these children. Any doubt in the example? Yes, any doubt in the example?
Ma'am,
Yeah,
instead of using flow pen, we can use grid pen also, no, ma'am, in this
definitely,
example.
definitely, definitely. If you use grid pane, no, you have to specify the column and the row,
Yes,
as we
ma'am.
have seen yesterday.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other thing? Since I have not shown any examples on flow pane, I have taken flow pane here. Okay. Any other doubts? Okay, Ajay has asked me a question. We have void handle. Here handle is a keyword, or obviously I told in the PPT only handle is a function available in event handler interface. Okay, handle is a function which you can override in the way you want. So handle is by default, the same name has to be there. It is inbuilt. If no other doubts, I will proceed ahead. Okay. So I will show you the output first, then we will discuss. Just have a look at this output. The first image. I just want this image has to be displayed. I want this image has to be displayed. How do you do this? Quickly tell me what is the way, first thing that you come across when you see this diagram. Anybody can unmute and go ahead. Quickly. Where is the image available?
It is positioned
Center
to the center.
alignment, ma'am.
Correct, it is position to center. So it is position to center. You can either take flow pane or grid pane. Grid pane must have only one column, one row. Okay. So if I want one row, one column, what is the use of taking grid pane? I will better go ahead with a flow pane. Even you can go with pane, simple pane. Okay. And with respect to that pane object, you have to call set orientation, set alignment of pose dot center. Okay, then what else? This is the first thing. You have to set the stage, you have to set the scene. Okay, inside that scene, you are giving this flow panes object or panes object. Then what is that I'm displaying? Image class. I have to have an image class, call image constructor on the path where that image is available. Get the image. Okay. Once I have got the image, I have to have image view. I have to have ImageView, correct? So accordingly, let me go ahead. See guys, another 2 or 3 minutes the class will be ending, but you have to join back because I'll be completing one more example. Okay, some 10 to 15 minutes you have to join back. Okay, so let me go ahead according to the discussion. Just have a look at this. I have set the stage, then I have created a flow pane. You can use a simple pane also here. Then using that object, set alignment, pose.center, set the scene through that object of flow pane, then attach that scene to the stage. Now next task is create the image. Image space the object equal to new image of wherever available the path. See here I have taken relative path. I am not given absolute path here. Then once the image is available, using this object, call ImageView. Call ImageView. Pass that object to the ImageView. This again creates me an object. Okay. This again creates me an object. Please skip this. Please skip this. I've commented them. Now add the image to the scene. So similar to get children dot add all. Here I have add all is used when more than one component is there. Simple add is used when I have only one component. It is as simple as that. Simplest example that can be shown in image. First, you are creating the stage, then you are setting the pane. Using the pane's object, you are aligning. Okay, once it is aligned, pass that to the scene object, pass that object to the scene object, set the scene to the stage. Okay, then create the image, load that image. Okay, load that image, add that image to the pane. Okay, how? Get children dot add. Then call the show function. Okay, now I want this image with this particular label. What is that? Hourglass. I have to have image with the label. Then you are supposed to do this. What is that? I will create a label. I'll create a label, hourglass label, new label of hourglass, comma hourglass object, object of image view. Okay. Now, instead of add, you have to do add all of hourglass object, comma, labels object. Okay. Any doubt in this? If you want this kind of output, you are loading only image. If you want this kind of output where image followed by name of that image, then you have to have a label associated. Just like this. Just like this. And when you are add, instead of add, you are writing add all because more than one component is there. I hope this is clear. All these programs I'll be sharing with you in your Google Classroom. Any doubt here?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah?
Ma'am, why do we need to pass that object to the label constructor?
Where?
Label.
Okay.
Yeah, there hourglass.
See, label constructor works in two ways. Either you are talking with the only the name of the label or with which you want to attach to. See, this is optional actually. This is optional. If you give this, then this label will act with that particular image object, with that